So today's victim is my friend Tony's Caterpillar, which is an LBSC design, a 2.5-inch gauge. It's a bit mad, I think is the only way you could describe it, really. It makes me smile every time I see it. I mean, that's a lot of wheels to turn. That really is. Anyway, the problem is that the lubricator, which sort of sits in this space here, isn't working very well, or at all in fact. So he's mucked about with it for a bit, and at the last 2.5-inch gauge rally we all sat down and looked at it, and I'd got a few ideas on how to fix it, so I offered to do it for him because I think he was about to pull out what remaining hair he'd got. So let's have a look at it. So we'll make it nice and comfy. It's the only real easy way of looking at this is to lean it on its side. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. So I've got a nice cloth on pain of death not to scratch his paintwork. So there we go, a nice settle down. I'll have a look. So the lubricator lives in this little hole here. You can see Tony's made some extended head bolts to hold it in place, which is quite a neat idea. I'm going to have to take off the leading truck, and the actual lubricator drive is actually off this second axle, and at the moment the rod runs underneath the steam pipes. I think you can just about see it there. That's this brass rod here. I'll wiggle it. Now I think it needs to go above the steam pipe, so I'll have to take that out. And then I'll dismantle it a little bit and then show you what I mean. Okay, so I temporarily put the lubricator back in. It's just loosely in. This is the actuating lever, which needs to go backwards and forwards, and there's a ratchet which I can show you a bit closer later. This rod needs to move the lever back and forth so that there's at least 2 clicks. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but you really want 2 clicks just to be on the safe side, backwards and forwards. So if I rotate the wheels, if you look at how far this moves, that's about as far back as it goes. So it's only perhaps 10 mil of travel there. Let's have that's 20. Yeah, about 10 mil of travel. And at the moment it's the pivot point is this very end of the lever. And certainly the consensus is that that's too far away from the fulcrum. So what we need to do is move this attachment point the other side of the springs to here, and unfortunately that means moving it the other side of the steam pipe, which I'll get you a quick look at that. So we need to make the hole a bit bigger in there so that this screw will go through. And we need to take this bar off and move it the other side of the steam pipe. So hope a slightly better look at this, where the steam pipe is. So this is the actuating rod that I'm wobbling. That now needs to go on the other side of the pipe. So what that will entail is unscrewing the actuating rod from its eccentric strap, popping it in and then re-screwing it back in. I'm not sure how easy that's going to be. So might need to take this leading axle off as well. So I'll have to have a look at that in a minute. I've got my gloves back on now. It's getting a bit dirty, a bit greasy under there, weirdly. So this is the lubricator. I'll try and come in a bit closer. So you've got 2 clicks back, 2 clicks forward. So that's sort of the minimum you need. Because if you've got that, you should see that the pump is actually working. So when we were on this very bottom one, we only had 10 mil, so it was maybe 1 click if you were lucky. So what I'm going to do is there's actually the second screw hole down is a bit small, so I'm just going to it's not focusing very well. Very carefully just enlarge that hole slightly and try and pull it nearer to the centre line, and that's what we'll connect the actuating rod to. So hopefully that shows up. Okay, we'll have a go at that. So this is the bolt we're trying to get through. So at the moment it doesn't go in. Oh, actually it does go in. Well, that showed me then, didn't it? Oh, that's interesting. It didn't want to go in before. Oh, perfect. Well, that was easy. I was all ready with my needle file, but I don't need it. So, bonus. Hopefully you can see a little bit there. It's a bit, there's a shiny thing in the sky. I'm not really sure what that's all about. Anyway, well, that makes things easy. We'll carry on then. So I think before I actually attach it, I need to secure this post, well, bolt, which is what the spring goes over. So I've got myself a 10BA nut there, so we'll just quickly wang that one on. I'll tighten it off camera, but there we go. So that spring holds the ratchet tight up against the ratchet wheel. You can see how that works now. So we'll be attaching the clevis to this second hole here, which it would appear it fits into. Tony did have a second spring on that, but I don't think it needs it. I think just the one will do, because that feels pretty positive. So we'll go ahead with that. Okay, so I've finagled that into position. I've taken the spring off temporarily because I think it'll get in the way, but that's kind of how it's going to work, like that. I think that will be reasonably good. It's not clicking obviously because the spring's not on, but now that's very tight to get the screws in there. So I think I'll put you on to time lapse, because otherwise there might be a bit of bad language, and we don't want YouTube to tell us off, do we? So let's have a So that was quite fiddly, quite awkward. Off camera, the nut which we put in here, I've put a little drop of my favourite libation, Loctite 603. So hopefully that won't come loose. I'll probably add a little bit on this lock nut as well, but not really necessary because that can't unscrew. It's a bit fiddly, but we got there in the end. The spring is attached there. As I turn it over, if you listen carefully, you can hear two clicks. So I think that should be enough. 2 clicks is plenty. You can see we've moved quite a distance now. I think we might actually want to trim some of that. Let's just see. Excuse my hand. Let's just see how this looks. No, there's plenty of room there, so we don't need to shorten that at the moment. And it's sometimes handy to be able to see it actually moving. Not that you can actually do it. So I'll finish tightening these up. I need to pop the oil pipe back on, which is here. So we'll sort that out in a minute. I think as it's been such a problem, I might put it back on its wheels. Not sure. It's going to be a bit difficult to do that, so let's have a look. I think probably the easiest way to actually test this is to just steam it up, actually. I think those are tight. So we'll try and get the oil union back in place. Just there. So I should put the need to find a spanner for that. Be a 2B, won't it? Okay. Lovely. So I shall replace the pony truck, which is here. Excuse me, I really do suffer from allergies, so you'll find me with a bunged up nose and coughing and spluttering. Can't help it. But anyway, I'm quite pleased with that. It's a very positive click. And it seems quite happy. So that's pretty good. I'm pleased with that. I think we're good to go there. So I should time lapse putting the pony track back on and then tidy up, and I think we're there. Okay, so that's free to move now, so I'm quite pleased with that. Time to get it back on its feet, or wheels at least. So pop it back over. Just check I haven't damaged Tony's paintwork. It's all looking quite good. Okay, one final test so you can just see what's happening. So I've put some Sharpie marks on this this part here, so you should see that rotate. It should always keep moving in one direction. You don't want it to roll back. Pop another Sharpie mark there. You can see it keeps going round, and that moves this piston. Oh, actually, it's a wrist pin, I suppose, isn't it? You can see the ratchet is stopping it from returning back. And there we go, it's just coming around. The actual pump piston is right at the bottom of its stroke now. go in. So I think that certainly shows that the pump will now be actuated. Now whether the pump works or not remains to be seen. Hopefully Tony can steam it up soon and we can test it and we'll see what happens. But there you go. That's all right. That's two revolutions and no problems. So I'm pleased with that. Hopefully Tony is as well. I shall give him a shout and we'll see. Hopefully I'll do a follow-up of it actually steaming. So hope everybody found that interesting. If you've got any questions, leave a comment. Any feedback, that would be really interesting to hear from you. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, I'll get back to you soon.